There are moments in life that freeze time, not because they're planned, not because someone said action, but because they erupt from a place so deep, so raw, that even the strongest walls of the justice system begin to shake. Now picture this. You're a teenager, barely old enough to understand how the legal system works, yet old enough to know what loss feels like. You walk into a courtroom dressed in pain, holding back tears, and there, sitting just feet away, is the person who took your parent from you. Cold, calm, breathing, while the one who tucked you in at night isn't coming home ever again. Can you imagine the rage, the helplessness, the boiling need for something, anything, that feels like justice? In that moment, courtroom decorum doesn't stand a chance. Security protocols, judges' warnings, wooden railings, they all blur. What bursts through is something no one can predict. The grief of a child with a broken heart and no more patience. This isn't a Hollywood script. This is reality, uncensored, unfiltered, and recorded for the world to see. Today, we take you inside those courtroom eruptions that left judges speechless, guards scrambling, and audiences divided, when the people who had the most reason to stay silent didn't. These are the most emotional, heartbreaking, and controversial moments in modern courtroom history, when kids confronted the killers of their parents and let the world see what justice really looks like when the heart takes over. And believe us, you won't forget what happens next. Detroit, Michigan, January 15th. 2024, 17-year-old Marcus Robinson enters the courtroom for the sentencing of James Jimmy Caldwell, the man convicted of killing Marcus's father, Robert Robinson, during a 2021 armed robbery. The courtroom is tense, packed with press and family members. Judge Linda Harris bangs the gavel, warning, this is a place of law, no outbursts. But when Caldwell smirks upon hearing the judge repeat the guilty verdict, something breaks. Marcus, visibly shaken, suddenly charges across the courtroom, vaulting benches with tears streaming down his face. He lunges at Caldwell, fists swinging in agony and rage. Security guards intervene quickly, restraining him as the courtroom erupts into chaos. Marcus is escorted out, still sobbing. No charges are filed against him, and according to sources, Judge Harris later remarked, "I can't blame him, two brothers, one killer." In Chicago, during a 2022 trial, 19-year-old twins sat quietly as they listened to the chilling details of their mother's brutal murder. The accused was a former boyfriend, someone the boys had once called uncle, but when the guilty verdict was read, and the killer smiled, that was it. The twins rushed forward in unison. The courtroom was stunned. One grabbed a chair. The other tried to punch through the glass partition. It took 6 officers to restrain them. What followed was a nationwide debate. Was it justice, or just heartbreak in motion? A 21-year-old woman named Lila stares at the man who stabbed her mother to death, her own stepfather. He claimed it was self-defense, but the jury didn't believe him. And when he was sentenced to life without parole, he had the audacity to laugh. That laugh shattered Lila. She screamed, she charged. Her shoes flew off mid-run. The courtroom gasped. She didn't make it to him. Marshals stopped her just in time. But that scream, that primal, soul-tearing scream, it echoed long after the trial ended. A moment so powerful, it became one of the most shared courtroom clips of the year. Why this happens? Psychologists say it's not just about revenge. It's about something deeper, something primal. Children who grow up without justice feel it like a weight on their chest, sitting in that courtroom, watching the person who stole your parent still breathing. It can be too much. The courtroom promises order, but grief doesn't follow rules. Rage doesn't raise its hand and wait to be acknowledged. Sometimes it just erupts. When the system fails. In some of these cases, what makes it worse is when the killer isn't remorseful. Some even smirk, some mock, some try to justify. And when a child hears that, after losing the one person who made their world safe, all bets are off. One 15-year-old boy in Ohio whispered during court, "He's still smiling. He's smiling like my mom didn't matter." Moments later, he threw his chair. The aftermath. Are they charged? Surprisingly, in most cases, the kids were not criminally charged. Judges and law enforcement typically treat these outbursts with compassion, temporary detainment, a courtroom warning, but rarely jail time. Why? Because everyone in the room knows this wasn't an attack. It was an eruption of trauma. One bailiff said in an interview, "You can't cuff grief." These clips go viral not because we enjoy the chaos, but because we feel it. We see ourselves in those kids. We feel their pain, their helplessness, their fury. And for a second, justice doesn't look like a gavel or a verdict. It looks like a tearful teenager screaming why. It's messy, it's human, and it's real. So what do we really take away from moments like these? That justice, the kind written on paper, measured in years, handed down by a gavel, doesn't always translate to peace. Not in the heart, not for those left behind. Because grief doesn't follow court schedules. It doesn't end with a sentencing. It lingers, it haunts, it screams in silence. These children didn't just lose a parent, they lost their protector, their world, their sense of safety. And when they look across a courtroom at the face of the person who took all of that away, something breaks. A system may call for restraint, but the human soul, it doesn't file motions. It doesn't ask for permission to feel. So when a daughter screams at her mother's killer, or a son leaps at the man who murdered his father, it's not just an outburst. It's grief made physical. It's love turned into rage. It's the unbearable weight of absence crashing through every rule of decorum. Because here's the hard truth. You can sentence a murderer. You can lock them away. You can check the box that says justice served. But you can't replace bedtime stories. You can't restore holiday dinners. You can't give back the embrace that was stolen in an instant. And sometimes, the most honest moment in a courtroom isn't spoken by lawyers, judges, or verdicts. It's a cry, a scream, a swing, a breakdown. The rawest kind of love refusing to stay silent. Justice can punish the guilty, but it will never be enough to bring the dead back home. And that is the price no sentence can ever pay.
I'm